Hey YouTubers, this is Nurse J at Nursing the Truth, and I hope everyone's having a great Tuesday. As usual, I have God Thoth and God Anubis behind me with my meditation candle and all of my Egyptian shrine stuff behind me, giving me the truth and knowledge to bring you guys the wisdom that needs to be spread. This is a coming upon the age of Aquarius, if we are not already in it, or soon to be. And a lot of people are becoming conscious and are getting out of the religious aspect of giving money and tithes and being broke as a joker, as they say. It's time to stop that. It's time to use the mind that the Creator Consciousness gave you and think for yourself, and to know what is truth and what is not. So, as I stated before, we are in the Enki and Enlil, who was Yahweh special. So this is going to be part 3 of the series. So, truth seekers and Gnostics and pagans alike, I told you, as I've been in this almost 2.5 going on 3-year journey, I noticed something in the Bible that wasn't right, and I said, how can this God be schizophrenic? 1 minute he is sweet, loving, and kind, and the next he's off with their heads like Marie Antoinette. So, as I started looking at the Anunnaki or the Elohim, these light beings or entities were fighting amongst themselves in territories of the earth. So I had to take a deeper look at the brothers, the warring brothers, as you say. Is it Satan and God? Is it Enlil and Enki? So let's take a look, and you shall be surprised. Yahweh Jehovah may be Enlil and Enki, my friends. Yes, the two intertwined into one. Think of your caduceus, right? 2 snakes that they use on the medical symbols for healing in its wings. Not one, but 2 gods amalgamated into one, breaking down of Enlil's attributes and Enki's attributes. Yahweh as Enlil and Yahweh as Enki. So let's take a look at some of Enlil's motifs. Enlil's temple was named House of the Mountain, King of Heaven and Earth, and Father of the Gods. And Enlil was also known as God of the Weather, according to the Sumerians. And Enlil helped create the humans, but then got tired of their noise and tried to kill them by sending a flood. And a mortal known as Zuasundra survived the flood through the help of another god called Enki. Enlil was a god of war and storms. Enlil accepted the first fruit offerings. And Enlil was also known as El or Enlil. And Enlil had a son whose name was Sin. So Enki is called God of the Sweet Waters, crafts and wisdom. Not too far from Thoth. Enki's water power never dies and is a living, joyous force. Enki is the god of ritual illustration and purification from polluting evil. And Enki was peaceful, loving, and never overreacted. The arts of civilization, the institutions and crafts, as well as economies, are Enki's gifts to humanity. and he aligns with humankind, outwitting the devilish little Enlil in the flood myth. And the proud lord of the air is made to revise his ways in the same myth. And Enki first refuses to send the flood to exterminate the humans and advises Zuasundra to build the boat, the predecessor of Noah's Ark, and thus saving them from the flood and destruction. Enki is the mediator whose compassion, sense of humor breaks the wrath of Enlil. And Enki teaches us the qualities in men and in nature so that we can better judge our deeds and our fates. Now, Yahweh, in the oldest biblical literature between the 12th and 11th centuries BCE, Yahweh is a typical ancient Near Eastern divine warrior who leads the heavenly army, a violent war god. And at a later period, Yahweh functioned as a dynastic cult, the god of the royal house, and the royal courts promoting him as a supreme god over all the others in the pantheon, notably Baal, El, and Asherah, the last of whom may have been his consort. Over time, Yahwehism became increasingly intolerant of the rivals in the royal court, and temple promoted Yahweh as the god of the entire cosmos, possessing all the positive qualities that were previously attributed to the other gods, like I've told you in the other 2 videos. With the work of the second Isaiah, the theoretical author of the second part of the book, towards the end of the Babylonian exile in the 6th century BCE, the very existence of foreign gods was denied, and Yahweh was proclaimed as the creator of the cosmos and the true God of the whole entire world. In the Bible, Yahweh is called Jehovah Adonai, which means my Lord, Lord, God, and El. With his rise, Yahweh became identified with El to such an extent that El's name became a generic word meaning simply God. And Asherah became Yahweh's consort, and Yahweh and Baal at first coexisted and later competed within the religion. The powers of blessings, health, wealth, and fertility and salvation, forgiveness and victory and deliverance from oppression and threat resided fully in Yahweh, and his will was communicated via oracle and prophetic visions. Yahweh is seen as Father God. So he is a storm god who speaks in thunder in Exodus 19:16, Job 37:5, and Amos 1:2, and Habakkuk 3:11. And fire is a sign of Yahweh's presence and a weapon, Exodus 13:21, and he's a god of the desert, Judges 5:4, and he has control of the waters of the earth, Exodus 14:21. He has control of the rivers, Joshua 3:16. He is over the rain, Genesis 2:5 and 1 Kings 17. And he is the giver of life and one who brings death. And he is a God of war and a God of peace. So there are many aspects here that are characteristics of both Enki and Enlil, who is Enki, who is the life-giving deity of fresh water, but there are also others which reflect the more violent nature of his brother, Enlil, who was the head of the Mesopotamian pantheon, also known as Baal, the Canaanite storm god, and Seth, the Egyptian god of the desert. And also I was reading that Baal could be Marduk as well. So the Bible also relates that Yahweh was called Baal by some Israelites in Hosea 2:16. If Yahweh was originally subordinate to El, it could be that the Israelites at first imagined him as a god of the same type of Canaanite Baal. So Yahweh is Enlil. Is Yahweh an Anunnaki? Well, of course. The author has a Gnostic Christian bias, though, which exposes the characteristics of Enlil in Jehovah, Yahweh. He has an abominable cruelties. The Lord guides his people to the promised land, but the land isn't free. People already live there in various towns. Therefore, the Lord commands his people to mercilessly slaughter all of them. What kind of God is that? Especially if Moses goes to the mountain and gets these laws, then the God says, do not kill. Now, you little tricky Satan, how come you're going to tell your people not to kill? But then when they get there, you're telling them to murder them like dogs. Really? Don't think so, Yahweh Jehovah. We don't worship you at all. And that can be found in Deuteronomy 6, 10, and 11. Oh, and the Holocaust begins. In one city after another, they murder and slaughter until no one is left, except for a few captured virgins. If you go to Numbers 31, 14 through 18, the God tells Moses, save everyone, but all the women and children that have not known a man by lying with him, keep for yourselves. There could be no worse sin to kill in the name of God or of his messengers. And if one kills in the name of Yahweh or by his order, this shows clearly enough that he cannot be the true God of the cosmos. And whether you believe in Jesus or not, this is not what he taught. Read Leviticus 26, 21 through 29. It is a very sick verse. He talks about, if ye walk contrary unto me, and will not hearken unto me, I will bring 7 times more plagues upon you according to your sins. And I will send wild beasts among you that shall rob you of your children and destroy your cattle, and your highways shall be desolate. The macho behavior began already before the exodus from Egypt, and Yahweh sent Moses several times to the Pharaoh requesting letting them to go, which we know that's not true. The exodus never happened. But just to kind of give you an overview. Joshua 11, 19, and 20. For what did he want to demonstrate all of his cruelty? In a similar way, he hardened the hearts of the Hittites living in the promised land. So he wanted the Hebrews to do battle with them so they could mercifully destroy them. Now, Yahweh is Enki. See? There's a double-sided coin to this, and you're going to love it. So the Sumerian version, Enki disagreed with brother Enlil's command, so he found Zuasundra, like I told you. He told Zuasundra, tear down thy house and build a ship. Give up the possessions and seek your life. Keep your soul alive. Aboard the ship and take all the seeds of the living things. He told him how to build it. From the Enuma leash, the gods smelled the savor of his sacrifice. And the gods crowded like flies about the sacrifice. They smelt the flesh. At first, when Enlil discovered Enki's ploy of saving the Adamu, which was mankind, he was furious. He soon relented after realizing that all livestock and produce had been destroyed in the flood and that Enki's forethought had also prevented a disaster for the Anunnaki. Enlil was very forgiving after hunger set in, and he partook of the burnt sacrifices offered. You see, after everything was destroyed, they were getting hungry. They wanted to eat. But see, smart Enki kept the seeds of the animals. A pledge was then made to the Adamu, mankind, by the Elohim, gods and goddesses, as also by Yahweh to Noah, that never again would the Elohim order the destruction. It is a promise made to man that has been kept ever since so far. As we've learned, Enki, Lord of the Earth, was called Ea in Akkadian, which is Semitic, that is to say, in the Babylonian tradition. And scholars have determined that Ea was vocalized at Ea. Ea Asher Ea. I am that I am. It is Yahweh who giveth wisdom, out of his mouth cometh knowledge and understanding, Proverbs 2:6. And it was he who granted wisdom beyond comparison to Solomon, as Enki had given the wise Adapa. Based on the evidence as well as the first two editions, it is evident that Yahweh is an amalgamation of gods as presented in the Bible Old Testament. However, Yahweh in reality is Enlil with the attributes of Enki, later written in by the tribe of Judah. To suggest Yahweh in the Bible as a single being is equivalent to allowing yourselves to continue being a victim of the great deception and subservient to a violent pedophilia and rather schizophrenic God. With this information, it should be easy to see through the rest of the Old Testament now, in which verses is Enlil and which is Enki. You cannot promote peace and justify war at the same time. You cannot promote family values and condone rape and murder of children at the same time. It wasn't until the Pauline Christianity that we have the views we have today. So, there you have it. Part 3 of the series of Enlil and Enki. So, just think about this. Thoth is the god of wisdom and knowledge, and his wife, Ma'at, is the lady of truth, justice, and righteousness, and holds the scales of Libra. And they take the heart of man and measure it against the feather of truth which she holds. So could it be that the Christ that are written in Gnostic scriptures that we will get to is Thoth of the Egyptian pantheon? Until next time, when you search for the truth, and I hope Nurse J brings you the truth and you feel good about it, then let the truth set you free. And as always, Hotep and Ashe in Egyptian, peace out, and we'll see you later.